You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
What's up, the internet? It's producer Kyle. How's it going? First of all, before we get into what's happening here and how this is going to go and all of that kind of fun stuff, did you know you could buy What's Up the Internet merch on the Experience merch store? Go to explive.com, theexplive.com. Click on merch store in the top right hand or in the top corner there, and you can buy What's Up the Internet merch. We've got EXP logo merch, and we've got newsstand edition merch all available right now. But this is Hot Takes. So you guys know how I am the haver of unpopular opinions in the comic book world. You know how that's a thing? Well, here's where we're going to talk about them. So here's the deal. I'm going to talk to you about stuff that's happening in the comic book world. You're going to tell me what you think. And once we get into the show, we'll talk about how you can call in and be on the air with us here on the EXP and talk to me about your opinions. So this is Hot Takes. And yeah, let's start the show. What's up, the internet? This is Hot Takes. It's a brand new show here on The Experience where we talk about the unpopular opinions that I have. I don't really care what your unpopular opinions are, except that they may mesh with my unpopular opinions. Before we get into anything, this is a participation show. Like, I want to know what you think. Otherwise, it's just going to be a lot of me yelling at you about things you think are right. If you don't argue with me, then I'm just going to assume I know everything, which I do anyway, and it's going to get real ugly. Just saying. I also want to give a shout out to Andrew Stanton for the song Emerald Weekend, which is our opener. It has been my theme song for a long time whenever I do stuff. So I have a friend here with me this week. We're starting a new show. You know, she normally works this hour anyway, so she's here with me to hang out. But before I bring her on, I want to kind of give you a rundown of what's going to happen. I spend 7 days a week, 364 days a year, basically, because I'm not going to do it on Christmas, looking at the internet, talking about concepts, reading things. TJ James was told there'd be beer. You can have one. It might make this more tolerable. But here's the deal. I spend all day on the internet looking at the things that are happening in the nerd world, and I form opinions. And then I go see movies and I form opinions, and I have all these opinions I need to get out. So I'm going to get them out to you. And then you're going to tell me what you think, and we're going to talk about it. And then I'm going to give you an opportunity to call in. Like, I'm the only show on The Experience that has a phone that, like, I can take phone calls like it's talk radio. So that's what we're going to do. And so we're going to start with a little bit lighter topic. I have a heavy topic for the second half of the show if we want to get into that, but we're going to start with a lighter topic. News broke this end of last week that Patty Jenkins has left Wonder Woman. The story goes that she came in and presented her pitch for Wonder Woman 3 to James Gunn and Peter Safran, and they gave her notes, and she decided to walk rather than to try and reformat her script. So rather than try and make a better movie than the travesty that was Wonder Woman 1984, she opted to quit. So Jenna, I can see in the background, is already angry and wants to talk about this. But I want you guys to tell me, why isn't it that this, do you think this is a good thing? Do you think having Patty Jenkins removed from Wonder Woman, a woman who has arguably done more for Wonder Woman, anybody other than the original Wonder Woman television show, leaving Wonder Woman is good or bad? And then I'm going to tell you an even hotter take I have on the DC cinematic universe. So let's bring Jenna in, because she's super angry at me being like, yay, Patty Jenkins is gone.
Okay. I have like two sides of this. Like, I can see both sides. Like, okay. So somebody's gonna have to tell me about this. When it comes to scripts and stuff like that, don't they go through like several rewrites already?
This was right. She had written her script treatment.
Okay.
She went into to James Gunn and Peter Safran and said, "Hey, this is my script treatment. This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Here's the script that was agreed upon. Here's how I think I'm going to shoot it and put it together." And they're like, "We have notes." And so that would be when she would go back and rework the script treatment. Right? Because they have notes, and it's
okay, but like, okay,
it's, and sometimes the notes are like, she's like, okay, we're gonna shoot on location in Hawaii, and their notes would be like, can you shoot on location in Vancouver because it's cheaper? And sometimes their notes are like, can you add jokes, or can you make this not garbage?
Okay, if I put, so how many, was this her first writing, or had she already gone through?
We don't know. We don't know any of that. We just know she quit. She quit. We don't care anymore. She's not around.
Okay, but
she took her ball and went home.
Yeah, she took her ball and went home. But at the same time, she still needs to be paid the respect of, like, she did the first one. She did do the second one. And you can think the second one is as hot garbage as you want to think. But at the same time, like, some of us liked most of it. That was hard to say. I liked some of it.
Well,
I did deeply enjoy some of it.
Again, no one's saying she didn't make two fine movies. Well, I'm saying she made one fine movie and one terrible movie. But nobody's saying that, nobody's taking away the first two movies.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that it's the best thing that could have happened to Wonder Woman, her taking her ball and going home. Because now we get somebody who doesn't have the stank of Wonder Woman 1984 on them. And we have someone who we can bring in, somebody who has some new ideas.
Okay, they can come in with new ideas, but she has the knowledge of what worked in the first one, what didn't work in the second one. Like,
But so does everyone who saw those movies.
But we don't know all of the, like, behind the scenes drama that had to go into either one of those movies. She is the only one that does, as the director of both the movies.
All right. So Ed is saying she's absolutely glad she left because she can't take a little criticism. I don't think it's that, man. Like, I really do think she has other options. And so she's like, I'll go somewhere where I'm wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I'll go somewhere where they'll just let me make my movie.
Yeah. We can't really, like, say yes or no on this because we don't know what the notes were. Because they could have written, like, one note saying, like, this is trash, like, start over. And that could have been like, you know what? I've got options. Bye.
Right. I don't begrudge anybody making $1. I don't begrudge her going, you know what? You don't want me to make this movie? I'm directing this movie over here that's going to win me an Oscar. I'm going to go do that. No problem. Do it. I think it's great that you're gone. Because here's the real take I'm going to give you. Here's my real opinion.
Okay.
We've hired James Gunn. We've hired Peter Safran.
Yeah.
Burn it down and let them rebuild it.
I will fight you.
DC needs to start over with new movies, new directors, new writers, new direction, new characters. I don't want to see another Batman, Wonder Woman, or Superman movie until DC figures out how the hell to make a movie that doesn't suck.
So
they've made two in the last 10 years. It's Shazam and Black Adam.
Okay, so what about The Batman with Robert Pattinson?
No. If I want to see My Chemical Batman, I'll go to a My Chemical Romance show. Like,
what about Henry Cavill cast as one of the best Supermans, and because he was just dropped in, spoiler alert, Black Adam. Like, he's got to do at least one more movie.
That's a job you can hire any generic white guy with a jaw to do. Like, the reality is that he was a fine Superman who had one decent movie and then two turds of scripts. Like, I will argue that he did a fine job in the second two movies.
Yeah.
Batman versus Superman and Justice League.
Yeah.
But they were hampered by having terrible scripts. What's up, Kenneth Bird? It's good to see you.
Hey.
TJ James, I told you, man, you need that beer. Anyway, he had two terrible scripts that he had to work in. Two.
Okay.
That's not his fault.
It was really good.
This is why they need to burn it down and rebuild. They never should have released Zack Snyder's Justice League.
They should have only released the Zack Snyder's Justice League.
If Zack Snyder can't,
the original one.
If Zack Snyder can't finish the movie is dead.
It's not his fault though. It was a little.
I understand. The man's family had a massive family tragedy.
Yeah.
Like, no problem. But at that point, you walk away from that movie, you put it on hold until he can come back.
Yeah.
Right. But now what you
agree
did
with
is
that.
you finished the movie with Joss Whedon, which was a mistake.
Yeah, it was.
Because let's be real, the only thing Joss Whedon's ever made that's any good is a movie about Space Confederacy, the Space Confederacy.
I deeply enjoyed Buffy.
Okay, fine, Buffy.
And
But then you went ahead and you let the fans dictate to you your release schedule and force the Snyder Cut out. So now the fans think they can tell you what to do. Right?
Yeah.
Because you did it. What up, Dan? Good to see you. So here's the problem, right? You've told the fans, well, we're open for business. If you scream loud enough, we'll make whatever you want. And then you haven't done that. And at the same time, you brought in these two guys who have amazing pedigrees.
Yeah.
Right? James Gunn took the Guardians of the Galaxy, and not even the real Guardians of the Galaxy, a group of characters he threw together and called the Guardians of the Galaxy, and made them into one of the most successful B-level Marvel franchises there are.
I'm not even sure they're B-level anymore. Like they've
Right.
gone pretty
Right.
high.
They're
Except
A-level
for-
now.
Except for that second movie. The second movie was kind of iffy.
Second movie was great.
The second movie was iffy at best.
Sure. But it was
Questionable.
great. Like, you don't have to watch it. You just can listen to the soundtrack and be like, this is the greatest movie ever made. Like, what up, Jeff Wedding? And so Jeff Wedding says it here, first time chatter, first time shower. So Jenna, I know you hate how this sounds, and this is just temporary. So cover your ears, Jenna. Have an opinion you want to share? Call in right now, 567-318-6507 to be on the air. So if you want to call in right now, you can be on the show with your opinions. 567-318-6507. We'll dial right here into the studio. I can put you on the air and we can have a talk. But the reality of this situation is this. I think the only thing DC can do to drag themselves out of the funk of getting beat by Marvel every time is to start over fresh. Bring in new actors, use new characters, all that kind of stuff. And here's the thing. You don't have to delete the history. But why not do everything on Earth too?
They have painted themselves into a corner.
Right.
Especially with kind of like some of the things that have been going on. Like a couple of their actors and actresses kind of, doing things.
Right. But it's this idea of DC has the easiest to understand multiverse.
They do.
Because
they really do.
They're just like, I got it. Let's have multiple Earths and let's number them.
I love it. It makes it easier.
Great. So let's go to Earth 7 and do some stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
With different
Kinda
characters.
like how they did with the TV show.
Right. Let's go over here and do this thing and figure out how to get into the process, right? How to write the kind of scripts that are going to be successful, how to direct the kind of movies that are going to be successful, how to build the franchise, and then come back and use the franchise players.
Yeah.
Right? It ain't like Henry Cavill can't play Superman in 3 years.
I don't know. I feel like they've kind of done that. Have you seen the crossover episodes they've done for the DC TV shows?
Yeah.
And Ezra Miller has already shown up in it. So they've already shown that.
Ezra Miller, that's a whole other topic for another day because Ezra Miller runs like an idiot. So he shouldn't play the Flash. But
he did. And he did show up on the crossover.
Right.
So there is a multiverse that has different actors. So
absolutely.
They definitely could do that.
So the best thing they can do is go learn how to make a product and then come back and use that product with the best players they got. You want Ben Affleck as Batman? Fine. Great. 100%. You want Henry Cavill as Superman? Fine. Great. 100%. You want Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman? Fine. Great. 100%. But don't do it and then give them a D-list script. Okay. Don't do that and make them play in a world that isn't designed for them to be successful. You know what you can do? You can go over and make a Booster Gold Blue Beetle movie on another world and see what happens when you do comedy. You can go and do a Wonder Twins show set in another world and see what happens when you do a male female led team. There are opportunities there to do other things. How can you have Batman that is almost a senior citizen? Very simple, TJ James. Frank Miller.
Batman Beyond.
Yeah, Batman Beyond.
There's different senior citizen Batmans.
Tons of old man Batmans. And to be real honest, TJ, Ben Affleck looks like way better than most senior citizens I know. Like,
I know some senior citizens that can put the rest of us to shame.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I will take senior citizen Ben Affleck in a fight versus senior citizen Kyle in a fight. Ben Affleck wins every time. So I don't have a problem with the casting of the characters. I have a problem with you're going to bring in these big names and you're going to put a ton of pressure on these movies in a system that doesn't work. It's why LeBron James and the LA Lakers don't win the title every year. If they don't have the right system for those guys to play in, they're not going to be successful. You've got to have the right system for the right people at the right time. And DC may have the right people, but it isn't the right time and they don't have the right system.
Hey, Kyle,
Jay,
do you put the phone number on the bottom?
I do, but I'm not there yet. Jay, do you think them forming DC Studios will help with the studio interference? No. I don't.
I think they're still going to get that in one form or another. Everybody wants them to be Marvel, but DC is not Marvel. Their storylines are a little bit more grittier. Their characters are a little darker. Like, there's a way to do things. And it's not going to be, you cannot compare Marvel and DC. They're two different genres of style of writing and darkness and stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. But what I'm talking about is that Disney has the best structure for taking an IP and turning it into a profit center. You mean that in the Justice League movie, Supes was supposed to be the first...
The one that influenced them?
I don't know what that means.
Okay. No, I mean the Justice League movie, Superman, was supposed to be the first one that influenced him. Okay, so he was supposed to be the first movie, the first one there, and it was supposed to influence the rest of it? Is that what you mean, TJ? Jenna only likes the multiverse concept so that there can be a once upon a time at the...
Ed, that book was great. The title was fine. That joke is tired. I'm excited for issue 2. Okay, so here's the deal.
I didn't say it.
So here's the thing. Superman was the first superhero. So if that's what they're doing, fine. I don't care. But you can't. You can't.
Where's my
if your system isn't built to make good movies, which DC's isn't right now, you can't make good movies. So you need to rebuild the system as a whole. So stop telling me you're going to give me characters that I know and love and start giving me characters I know and like. When Iron Man 1 came out, I couldn't have given a crap about Iron Man. Now Iron Man is a cornerstone of the Marvel Universe. Right?
Not anymore.
Well, no, he is. If you look at their publishing, if you look at everything they do, everything is Iron Man. They just announced there's a company called Corkle that make these really cool water bottle tumblers. They just announced 2 brand new Marvel ones to launch their Marvel line, to relaunch their Marvel line. Well, Spider-Man and Iron Man.
Space, but I mean, not of the movies anymore because he's not going to be in any more movies, is he?
But he's a cornerstone of their universe. He went from a character no one cared about that was like the 7th best-selling title they had to the cornerstone. And now they've built this world that can take a character like Shuri from Black Panther or a character like Lady Girl Hawkeye. I can't think of her. Kate Bishop. And make them profit centers. You don't have to play with the big toys in order to be successful. You have to play with the big toys correctly. So why not go play with the small toys that nobody cares about until you're successful and then come back and play with the big toys?
Because there's always people that care about it. Like, you have to, like, if you're going to come in and pick a character from comic books, knowing how big comic books are nowadays, you've got to know that there's going to be people that are like, hey, you disrespected this character if you don't do the character right. What they
Sure,
need
and that person is usually me.
and like, they've got, this is what studios actually need, and DC and Marvel most of all. They need somebody who's read the comics or the books or whatever, and can like slap somebody around when they say no.
Well, and that's all script writing and things like that. But here's what I mean, Jenna.
Yeah.
I went into Black Adam with a pretty functional knowledge of who Black Adam was as a character.
Okay.
But I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of Black Adam like I do with Batman. So I don't care if you stretch the reality of Black Adam nearly as much as I care if you stretch the reality of Batman. In the Justice League movie, Batman had been operating for years, even before Superman went public. The movie universe timeline made no sense. Well, and that's true.
Well,
but again, that's
a universe where that happened before.
Right.
Maybe we're there.
Right. My thing is, and this is where we go, this is where I'm going, is you have to stop. Right?
Yeah.
You cannot just continue down a track that's leading to the edge of a cliff and you're going to fly off. You have to stop and say, okay, here are the successes we've had, and they are few, so it shouldn't be hard to figure. Here are the biggest failures we've had. Here is what's worked, and here is what's failed. What parts of that are we going to put together and use, and what parts of that are we going to ignore? And I think the only way to do that is to ignore everything you've done so far and start over. But we can talk more about that after this break. We will be back in just a couple minutes on Hot Takes. And remember, that's the phone number down at the bottom, 567-318-6507. If you have an opinion and you want to call in, we have a phone that you can call in on. We'll be back in just a second. You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP.
You just finished the last episode of your favorite new show, and you just have to talk about it. But all your friends are ghosting you because of that incident last week at the buffet. Oh, you know the one. What you did to that chowder. Ugh. Keeps me up at night. So what do? Join writer Dan Wickline as he breaks down all your favorite pop culture media. Whether it's a review of the latest nerdy TV show or a dive back into the history of your favorite comic characters, Dan's ready to discuss all the hottest topics live. Join the conversation as Dan live streams Tuesday through Thursday at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. The Dan Wickline Show on The Experience. Comic culture and sales.
Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find a link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP. Have an opinion you want to share? Call in right now. 567-318-6507 to be on the air. What's up, the internet? We're back. This is Hot Takes with producer Kyle. Jenna is still here, but I've got her off screen for a minute because I just want to remind you guys about a couple things. One, sign up for the EXP mailer. bit.ly/EXP mail, or head over to theexplive.com. theexplive.com. That is 2 E's together there in the middle. THEEXP live.com, and click sign up for the mailing list on there as well. We send out good mailers. Sometimes I write them, sometimes Henri writes them. They're always entertaining, I think. And while you're at theexplive.com, check out the merch store. You can buy a What's Up the Internet t-shirt. You can buy a The EXP logo t-shirt. We have a newsstand edition, both in black and white. Very cool, little nice design. It looks really good on a glass or a mug. Super cool. And coming soon, because I saw him in the comments, the Nick Barucci t-shirt that John Cole and I decided what was going to be. It'd be very interesting. It'd be a very fun t-shirt. I appreciate you, Danilo, for signing up. But those are the best ways to get a hold of us. If you have a question for us, email us through the website. I get them. They come right to my phone. It's great. All right, I'm going to bring Jenna back in before we jump into the next part of this topic that I want to talk about. So much of this news that we've gotten on DC, and a lot of news we get on Marvel too, and other companies, come from places that we shouldn't be getting the news. Here's what I mean by that. We get information about what these studios are going to do from calls they're having with their investors, from calls they're having with their shareholders. And the point I want to make, and the thing I want to talk about here, is that is a bad place to get your news from. Because the stories they're telling those people are not the stories they're going to tell us. They're telling people who gave them $1 billion to buy shares in the company, how they're going to make them more money. Those calls are about ROI, not about content. So when a movie gets announced to those people, it's meant for those people to know, because this is where we're spending your money. This is where your ROI is coming from. Not, hey, we're making this movie, everyone needs to know about it so they can get excited for it. No. Because the reality is how often have you heard this, Jenna? And I'm asking you specifically because you follow a lot of independent creators, a lot of Kickstarter creators, a lot of people who do this for a living but don't work in the big system.
Yeah.
How often have you heard, oh, my book is in development at a studio to be a movie or television show, and then 4-5 years later, nothing has come of it?
So much. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Pretty sure weekly. We call them pointy books.
Right. Exactly. I mean, these things go into development and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
It's called development hell. So when investors are told, oh, we're making this movie, that's saying, okay, this money that you saw on our quarterly earnings report is being put back into this project.
Yeah.
Not that project may never come out. It may be an investment in something that fails.
Which
see Batgirl. See Batgirl.
I don't want to look at Batgirl. Please.
Well, but if we hadn't found out about that movie until they started principal photography or that kind of stuff,
yeah,
we would have had less time to speculate on what it was. Then when it gets canceled, there's less buildup. I'm not saying Batgirl should have been canceled or shouldn't have been canceled. I don't know. I think they probably did the right thing in canceling it before it cost them more money to make it what they needed it to be. But at the same time, I don't think we should have known about that movie nearly as early as we did. I don't think I don't think we as the average fan need to know that at some point this week, James Gunn and Peter Safran are going to sit down with David Zaslav and have a conversation about what they think their 5-year plan is. Because what's going to happen is they're going to sit down and have that conversation. And then David Zaslav is going to say, okay, well, how do we pay for it? And I think these things are important. And they're going to have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And say, okay, we're going to take those notes, play with them, run them through the mill of our brains, and then put out a new 5-year plan. We're not going to find out their 5-year plan this week unless someone in that meeting leaks it.
And of the three of them, I don't think any of them would.
Well, but you never know. There's secretaries and stenographers and, you know, catering guys. But what I'm saying is, though, like, once, even if it gets leaked, right, I'm going to assume David Zaslav isn't just going to give them a carte blanche green light, right? That he's going to have input from the business side of things about how this should work. So he's not going to give them just a flat green light and go, have fun.
If he did that, that'd be a miracle.
Right. That would be great. Then tell us your 5-year plan. But he's going to have input. He's going to have notes. He's going to have things he wants to say. And so they're going to have to go back and figure that out and work that in and massage the whole plan until it comes out to something that everyone can live with, right?
Issue massage.
Well, it comes out to someone that that's something that everyone can like and that will make everyone money.
Money is what talks.
Then they have to have that conversation with their investors, with their financial backers, with their shareholders. And then we should find out. I think the problem is that we expect to be let into the boardroom when what we really need is to be let into the magazine. Which is, in the old days, we found out about these things when there was an ad in a comic book. I found out about the first X-Men movie, when the first Hugh Jackman as Wolverine X-Men movie, when they put an ad in a comic book. Now, that was in the day when your internet had to make funny sounds to connect to it. But at the same time, that stuff was shielded a lot longer.
Yeah.
You know, Wizard Magazine might have had a write-up about it, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Now we all expect to be able to sit and listen to their Zoom call, and it's not good for the industry.
No.
So part of the problem, and this is hot take number 2 for the night.
Oh no. Okay.
Part of the problem is us. We are the problem. Hi, I'm the problem. It's Taylor Swift.
Hi, I'm the problem.
Right. We expect our publishers, our film studios, our people we're fans of to let us into the inner sanctum and not keep things from us until they can become good. Until they can be so fleshed out that we can have an honest opinion on them. And here's kind of my example that I'm going to use, right?
Yeah.
I knew Dirk Manning was writing the Arn Anderson book before Dirk Manning made the announcement of the Arn Anderson book. I guessed.
I don't know. I mean, like,
but,
I totally get it. But I mean, then we have moments like, remember when Heath Ledger was announced as the Joker? Like, that was leaked first before it was ever actually officially announced. And I remember everybody being like, oh, if this news is true, that's trash. And they were trashing the movie all the way up till it came out.
Right.
And then for the first week that it was out, I remember a lot of people were still trashing it, but then people went and watched it and they're like, oh my God, it was actually amazing. And that kind of does like bring it back to, even though, yeah, we do have say nowadays, like we think we have say in what's going on with these movies, but guess what? We don't. Whether we know it or not, they're going to make the movie and we're going to watch it.
However, Twitter exists for now.
For now.
Social media exists.
For now.
If the Heath Ledger announcement had happened today, people with their opinions would have already passed judgment on the movie before the movie ever saw a screen. Which happened to an extent back then. I can remember sitting in online chat forums.
We may have
right?
bumped into each other then.
Having a conversation about if they don't make Batman's suit out of hippo skin, they're doing it wrong.
Okay, we were not in the same chat rooms then.
Right.
I think you just broke Liam. Just go.
Right.
It's okay. Just go.
Right.
Okay.
No, I remember sitting in those chat rooms having that conversation. But now that stuff's all public. Back then, you had to hunt for the, you had to be a certain kind of nerd to find those chat rooms back then. So the thing about it is, and this is where I'm going with this. If we don't know, hippo skin.
I think you broke a lot of people at that moment. Sir.
That was a 2-issue arc that was coming out in the comics at the time. Where,
oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yes. Where the idea is that it was more impermeable than anything Lucius Fox had available.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Right. And you know what? It was a 2-issue arc because it was a dumb idea. Right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it used to be this thing that was kind of tucked away in the corner of the internet where like-minded people who had the same base knowledge could go and have their arguments and have their conversations. And then the rest of the world was just like, there's a new Batman movie coming and it's going to have the Joker. Right? And they could see the ha 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 marketing campaign and they'd hear about the stuff that happened at Comic-Con. And that was it. You have to give these people time where you're not on their back to make it good.
Because like I said, we said it earlier, same with the Wonder Woman thing, there are going to be rewrites. I think the most one has gone through rewrites was like close to 150 different rewrites. So we don't know what it's going to look like at the end game, no matter how many scripts, how many rewrote scripts, how many pictures and stuff like that we see. We don't know what's going to be until it's released because we don't know what's going to be on the cutting room floor.
Right. So my second take is that we as the fans need to shut the hell up.
I can't argue with that. I believe that's true. Except for the one time with Sonic. But at the same time, I feel like that was a get everybody's attention thing.
I feel like with the Sonic thing, and we could talk about that another day, but with the Sonic thing, I think they would have realized before the movie came out
maybe
that it was a problem.
Release that trailer.
Right.
So we don't know.
But I think they would have realized somebody somewhere in quality control would have said, hey, this is creepy.
I don't know. We have seen a lot of things come out where you just sit there and think, how did this get through that many people?
Well, there's a great podcast called How Did This Get Made? That is like that. Yeah. But again, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm saying is
it would have been caught by somebody, surely.
Right. I know, Dan, for instance, is a guy who part of it's his job. So I'm not saying that this is bad, but the man has Hollywood Reporter bookmarked and checks it every day. It's Dan's job. So whatever. But the fact that a lot of the people who are probably watching this show have Hollywood Reporter or Dateline or Variety or CBR or Bleeding Cool or one of these sites bookmarked and they check it every day is not good for the industry.
Oh.
Because it means that we're not giving anyone any space to breathe. We're not giving anyone any space to figure anything out. And we're not giving anyone any space to develop.
Yeah.
And I think the big problem that DC has had is that everything has been so scrutinized and so stared at. Everything's been so scrutinized and so stared at that people feel like they have to be perfect the first time out. So the news comes that Patty Jenkins is pitching her script treatment to James Gunn and Peter Safran, and it wasn't good. And she felt like she had to be perfect the first time out. And so the reality is that she may have taken her ball and gone home. She may have gotten angry and said, I'm not rewriting my script. Blah, 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 blah. Or she may have felt like, well, crap. Now the fans are going to be all over me wanting to know why this isn't good. And why I'm making another bad Wonder Woman movie. And why I can't capture what I captured in the first Wonder Woman movie. And all this kind of stuff. And it ain't worth it.
Nope. It's not. It's not worth it.
So I think there's a real good two-part lesson here to learn, right?
Be happy that you're getting a movie and shut up.
Well, it's that we know too much and that we need to remember that we know more than any generation has ever known before us. And so when we hear things like Patty Jenkins, when we read a headline like Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 not moving forward as DC movies hits turning point.
Yeah.
It used to be we didn't know that kind of stuff. You'd have to
Until
wait a
the
month.
movie came out.
Well, or you'd have to wait a month when it says, when you get a little blurb in Wizard Magazine or someplace that says, hey, they're making a Wonder Woman movie and it's on its second director.
Here's
And
the
that's
new
all we'd know.
director.
Right. And that's all we would know.
So who do you want to be the director then? Like,
I
who
want
do
them to
you-
not make, as we said before, I want them to not make a Wonder Woman movie.
Okay. To
Put
be
it on a
honest,
shelf.
I kind of want them to make a Nubia movie, but at the same time, they would have to make an Amazonian movie before they could do that. But they had to lay the groundwork with Wonder Woman. But the same thing is that they have to make a better Wonder Woman than the 1984 one. So it's this long line of trying to figure out how to get to this endpoint, and they just don't have the stepping
Right.
stones at this
If the
point.
road
They don't have
doesn't
it.
go where you need it to go, build the road.
Yeah, and I don't know if they could.
Right. And they haven't thus far.
No, I really don't even know what characters they could use
Right.
without using the main Trinity.
Right. It's walk
set
over
it
to your DC shelves. Right. No. And tell me how many books on your DC shelves aren't aren't Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman. You have some Green Lantern.
Yeah,
You might have a
we have
Booster Gold Blue
Nubia, we
Beetle.
have Green Lantern, we have.
But Nubia is Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. It's DC is so entrenched in those characters. So
Well, they
enmeshed
do.
in those characters.
And the Flash has
Right.
a lot going on right now.
So the Flash is an option.
Yes.
You could do a
I
Booster
don't know.
Gold
There's
Blue
such a
Beetle.
bad taste with the Flash going on
Green,
right now.
right, but Green Arrow,
Where's
Green
my
Lantern,
Martian Manhunter?
Martian Manhunter, Supergirl, Jonathan Kent, Superboy,
Yep.
Damian Wayne. Like, there's a lot of those options that are secondary characters in those three big ones.
Yeah, but they get built off of the big ones, though. You have to have
Right.
a steady big one to build off of those side ones.
Right. Red Tornado. Right. It's you just introduced three characters in Black Adam that you could make movies out of. Dr.
Yeah.
Fate. You could do a Hawkman movie. You
Yep.
could even do an Atom Smasher movie.
Yeah, they could.
Because I want to see Henry Winkler in a superhero movie. but-
for truth.
But
Great.
you have to build the road, and they just haven't done it.
No.
So I want them to not make her Wonder Woman movie. I don't want them to replace her as director. I want them to stop. And I want us to stop expecting them to do something.
I say we all take a year break and just watch the movies when they come out.
I think it's a good idea. I don't think it's going to happen. And
No.
I'll be honest, too much of my job is wrapped up in making sure it doesn't happen.
True that.
That I need it to happen a little bit. But I think what we need to do is just take in the news and digest the news and not have an opinion on the news.
But at the same time, us as humans, that's what we do. We have opinions.
Right. I understand that. So, all right.
We
It's
keep
time for our,
opinions ourselves.
right, it's time for
But
our
not right
second
now.
it's time for our second break.
Okay.
I have one more topic I want to touch on for just a second coming out of the break.
Okay.
And it's the topic that had Jenna the most fired up.
Oh no. Which one? There was two earlier we were talking about. I'm scared.
So we're gonna see what she has to say if she wants to stick around. And remember, you guys can call in if you have any thoughts on these things.
Call us.
567-318-6507. Scrolling at the bottom. We'll be right back in just a second when I can click on the right thing here. Did you know that every experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out. Twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
What's up, the internet? It's producer Kyle. Welcome back to Hot Takes with producer Kyle. We're going to get into our last topic here. We've got about 10 minutes left in the show, so we're going to hit it real fast and then get out of here for the evening. But before we do that, I want to remind you that tomorrow at 5 o'clock, we have the Dan Wickline show. Dan and I do some of this on his show sometimes, and other times Dan will do a deep dive or talk to you about other important stuff that's happening in the industry. And then after that, Dan and Jay and I are going to do In Stores This Week, which is a show where we talk about comic books that are in stores this week. We've got a killer list of books to review this week, including Retroverse from Comixology Press, Red Sonja, Hell Sonja #1 from Dynamite, Lord of the Jungle 2 from Dynamite, Leonid the Vampire, A Christmas for Crows from Dark Horse, which is part of the Hellboy universe, A Vicious Circle from Boom Studios, and a book that I've been really high on from IDW called Crashing. So we've got a great list of books to read for tomorrow. That show is at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Following them will be Jenna and Liam and Shanice, or some combination of the three, doing Minute to Skim It, which is a similar show, but they take a lot less time to read and take a lot less time to talk about things, and also have a lot less Jay going, wasn't bad. So that's a pretty good show too. Following them, we have a brand new show announcement. Brand new show. I literally just confirmed it during the last show. That's how breaking this news is. Mint Hunter Collectibles, or Mint Hunter Comics, from they're very popular on YouTube. They will be joining us doing a show from 8 to 9, and then at 9:30 we have Country Road Comics. Chris, this is his third show, so it's going to be a big day tomorrow. Like, I'm going to have to bring so many energy drinks to get through it. It's going to be a whole thing. All right. Last topic for the night. Are you ready? The trend of AI art on the internet is the single greatest threat to comic books and traditional art ever created. But I think it's possible that it could be useful. So I'm gonna Jenna's got her finger going. I'm gonna bring her on, and here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say my thing. It is the single greatest threat to comics, to traditional art, to any kind of art ever created. However, if all it ever does is create an internet meme, it could be useful to know who the idiots are. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No,
it could be useful.
I like that opinion.
It could actually be used as, I think it could actually be a useful tool for the creation of traditional art and comic books. And here's how. You can use it as a first level editor, the same way a person who's working in Microsoft Word has the squiggly lines under the words they spelled wrong. You can use it to weed out your bad ideas. I'm not a creative person. I mean, I'm creative, but I'm not a writer. I can't. If you ask me to describe Jenna as she sits there right now, I'd be girl, hair, glasses,
nose.
That's that. But I see, even then, like, that's not a thing. Like, I don't think about descriptors that way. So if I'm writing a comic book story, I might write a descriptor for a character that if I send to an artist, I'm going to get the entirely wrong thing. But if I take
so what you're pretty much trying to say is you need a sim, you need Sims 4 so you can make your own person.
Yes.
Okay, you don't do that with AI art though. AI art is literally stealing art from artists.
We're getting there.
Oh, okay.
Hold on.
Okay.
I'm getting there. It could be useful because I could take that descriptor, type it in, and be like, nope, that's not what I want, and go back and re-edit my script. Now, to get to that point, we have to have someone be the Isaac Asimov of AI. Someone has to write the rules. Right now, it's the Wild West. We're stealing art from creators. We're stealing work from people without their consent. Things are getting fed into this algorithm that is not the algorithms to have. But that's only because no one has written the rules of what this is and what it should be. You know, without the rules of, and a robot should never kill, a robot should only serve people, whatever the robot rules are, we wouldn't have the Roomba vacuum. But we're in a world where robot vacuums exist. Because someone at some point said, hey, this is how we should regulate robots so that we don't get a Terminator situation.
But we're still going to get a Terminator situation. We all know that. Like, that's coming.
But how long has it been delayed? Like, I don't care if there's a Terminator 300 years from now. Right?
Okay.
Like, so here's my thing. With AI art, for it to be useful, for it to be a useful tool, it has to be restrained. It has to be started over, and it has to be controlled. So one of the people who is using AI art to great skill is Brian Haberlin, who has built an algorithm that he has fed his own art and that he can use to create his own art. Right? It's a closed loop system.
Okay, so he has literally created a code so that way it's only the stuff that he has entered that's what's coming out.
Right.
Okay.
He's only fed it his art.
See that
right.
as AI art. That could be fine, but
it's got to be controlled. It's got to be controlled.
And you know, so many people are going to get mad at that because they're like, "Oh, well, it's my freedom to look at art and stuff." Because we already have people saying that now. People are already passing off this AI art as their own, even though we already see there's a copyright in that picture. People are painting these pictures themselves and uploading it with their own copyright in the actual painting already.
Right. There's no governance. TJ James, you do have rules. Sampling has fairly defined limits, at least to music. Right. But how many lawsuits were there to get to that? How many people had to sue? how many the Verve pipes or the Verve or whatever, how many Bittersweet Symphonies do you have?
Oh my God.
Thousands and thousands and thousands. Right? You have to establish a limit before a tool is useful. Right? Before a tool could be deemed safe for public consumption, you have to establish its limits. If we didn't have speed limits, cars would be way more dangerous than they already are.
And yet there's a majority of people do not follow it. And
right.
That is the same problem
but you've established your rule. Right?
And if
without
you get what? A ticket?
Well, or you go to jail.
Yeah. Because it is stealing.
Right. Without standardization, without rules, without confinement, no tool is useful. All tools are dangerous. AI art is the most dangerous thing that has happened to traditional art and comic books ever.
Yes.
More than copyright infringement, more than plagiarism, more than publishers and artists walking out of companies with other people's pages, more than Discovery buying DC and wanting to make Aquaman meets the Deadliest Catch. More than all of these things, this is the biggest threat. And it's only because this tool was released without any oversight.
That's true. All right, guys. There's only about 2 minutes left. First person to call this number, I actually have a free prize.
We're not doing that.
No, nobody wants
it.
It's a poster.
We're not forcing someone to call in just to give away a poster. Right. No, we're not doing that.
They have an opinion that one of us talks.
No. So this show is going to exist until Mishmash goes back to 2 hours, if it ever goes back to 2 hours. You may see this show other times. It's going to be a fun show. We're going to say some things that people are going to disagree with, some things that people are going to agree with. I need you in the chat to be more like TJ James and Ed and get your opinions in the chat. You got to sell me sometimes, y'all. And like I said, I had to be sold on this AI art thing. That, like, when it first came out, I go, okay, it'll be a useful tool. And then I found out how it's made and went, nope, real bad news. It's like Bitcoin.
From the moment I saw it, I knew, as a painter myself, I knew.
But it's like Bitcoin. I didn't have a problem with Bitcoin until I found out how Bitcoin was produced.
Oh, geez.
Right? It wasn't until we learned what it was doing to the environment, what it was doing to the people who were involved in it, that I went, oh, cryptocurrency is bad. Because on the surface of it, the idea of a digital currency that's tied to nothing governmental or industrial is a good idea. But if you have to kill the rainforest to do it, it's a bad idea. The idea of having a art simulator or an algorithm that can generate art is a good idea until you realize that you have to steal from people to do it. Until you realize that it's not accessible to everyone in a way that is acceptable or socially prudent. Right? If everybody could do what Brian Haberlin's doing, it's not a bad idea.
Their own things.
They can't. And in order to make this thing work, you have to steal, which makes it bad. So I think it could, if we as a society rose up and say, hey, we're not gonna participate in this. We're not gonna accept it. We're not gonna buy anything that's done with it. It's done.
Yes.
Right. That's what I'm saying, TJ.
Yeah. If it is a closed loop that isn't pulling from other people's art or pulling other people's art, then I completely agree.
Absolutely. If you can with limits, it could be a good tool. The same way, hey, this is the last example I'll give because we're out of time. But I have Grammarly on my computers. Grammarly doesn't track every keystroke I make, but it certainly does when I need it to. That software has limits. if we put limits on this, I think it's got potential. I don't think we're anywhere close to that, being able to do that. But if we can get there, I think it'll be good. So, thank you, Jenna, for hanging out with me. Thank you to everybody in the comments. As Nick would say, make sure you click like. But as I would say, make sure you click subscribe, click the bell if you're on YouTube, hit follow on Facebook or Twitch, all of those things. What are you asking people for money? What was that?
No, hearts.
I don't understand.
These are hearts.
I don't understand.
These are hearts. It's hearts. Oh my goodness.
I don't see it. Anyway, we will be back if not before, we will be back next Monday with another episode of the show. Talking about new things, talking about other things. Hopefully talking to some of you guys because you call in. And, if there's something I said here that you didn't like or were offended by, I apologize. Please feel free to reach out and tell me. And we can have a conversation about that. But in the meantime, make sure you check out all the new shows. Ed, if you have a headache about Doctor Who, maybe don't talk to me either. Because I'm the one who knows more about Doctor Who than Jenna. So.
Them there sound like fighting words.
Well, we'll have to go to a trivia night. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Hot Takes. We will see you later.
Bye.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.